So, Deltarune is out. There is so much new stuff to talk about. Almost too much to fit in the relatively short wait for Chapter 5, but in this video, I want to focus on theories. So, hearing people talk about the new chapters, a common thing people say is that the new chapters destroyed everyone's theories. Toby Fox said, "All your theories are wrong. Goodbye." But is that really true? Today, me and my friend Brix are going to test this. We're going to look through all the most popular theories and figure out which ones survived Deltarune. And we're going to do it with the power of a tier list. That's right, you've fallen into my trap. You thought you were getting an hour-long video essay, but you're getting a tier list.
Hello, I am Brix Abraxium, Deltarune Theorist.
Okay, starting with I called them
The popular theories.
The popular theories.
We're starting with chess theory.
I would put it in taken out back and shot, to be honest.
Yeah, no, here's the thing though, but there's Jack and chess theory now. There's like Neo chess theory.
What?
With the Jack. Do you not know about this?
No, I don't.
In the Jackenstein fight. So it kind of survived, I guess.
We could put it in killed, but it was close, because as it is presented in videos, and as people knew it, it was killed. It didn't happen the way people thought. There is no bishop.
Yeah, it died. It died.
We can put it in. It was close because I guess
it lived on.
A version of it lives on, I guess.
That seems like a good placement. What's next?
Oh, okay. So in the same vein is Woody theory.
No, Woody theory.
Okay,
by all means, Woody theory should be dead.
40 minutes ago, I watched Woody Theory 2. It was actually really good.
Woody Theory 2 is here's the thing. There are people who will call Woody Theory 2 cope. There are people who will say that it's a stretch. No, Woody Theory just survived. I'm sorry. It definitely had to reinvent itself. I would say that the original Woody Theory died, but just like chess theory, it survived. It reinvented itself into something that might honestly be stronger than the original Woody Theory was. So I feel like I would actually put it above chess theory. If we're doing this by within the tiers, I would put this above chess theory.
So should we put it in killed, but it was close?
Yes, I think in killed, but it was close, and I think above chess theory.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense. Originally, I wanted to do taken out back and shot, but then when because I've heard about some of the new evidence for Woody Theory, and it's obviously in its original form, it didn't happen, but the essence of it is still possible. It is still possible that there will be a Woody boss, even if it's not what everybody thought. Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, what's next? What do we have?
Next up is Sans is from Deltarune.
I would say that this gains significant evidence with the place where it reigned.
Mm-hmm.
I would not say it's confirmed. Yeah. A lot of people are saying it's confirmed. I don't think it's confirmed. I think it was given more fuel. Mm-hmm. I think there's still some leeway. What do you think?
I generally agree with that. I think there was good... okay. Also because monsters bleed now.
I'm not getting into this. I don't think that matters, if I'm being honest. That is not...
Never mind.
You don't know. We're bringing blood lore into this. You brought it up. I maintain that even though Deltarune monsters bleed, we've seen it happen, I maintain that Sans is a skeleton and he should not bleed, regardless of whether monsters in Deltarune generally bleed. Would Napstablook bleed if you stabbed them? I don't think so. How would the Grilby bleed?
That's true.
I maintain that ketchup theory is the answer to why Sans bleeds.
Ketchup theory? Not him having flesh under his...
No, I maintain that, this is a conspiracy. This is, getting into an entirely different theory.
Oh my god.
I think that he had ketchup in his jacket so that when we killed him, he could pretend to bleed out and die as a guilt trip, as one final prank across time and space to get you to maybe regret your actions just a little bit. No, that's my opinion. That's been my opinion for years.
So he didn't actually die, or he did actually die?
No, he died. He did actually die. He turned to dust, and he didn't actually bleed.
Okay,
he put ketchup in his jacket so that when he eventually
died... Yeah, I know. But
pretend to bleed
out. We got him under the ketchup, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like he did sustain actual damage. I'm just saying that the blood itself. Anyway,
Okay,
point is,
so given more fuel.
Though the thing I will point out is that I would say that Sans Undertale being Sans Deltarune is all but confirmed. It's much closer to confirmed than it's ever been. But there's still the question of whether Sans is from
Are you talking
Deltarune,
about whether there's a third universe or
it could be from somewhere else?
Time cop theory.
Yeah, that kind of thing. That's so possible.
Okay, up next, we have Rouse is evil, or Rouse will betray the party.
I think this is taken up back and shot.
Yeah, yeah, it just doesn't go with his character now. I think he might be conflicted or be told to betray the party by, like, Gaster or whoever he's working for. I don't think that he's evil. I feel like that's very demonstrated to be not true.
I agree. I think that a lot of the reason that people thought that Rouse could be evil was just because he was very suspicious. But I feel like Chapter 4 goes out of its way to clarify that his suspicion is not out of malice.
Okay.
So he's not going to betray us. I don't buy it.
All right. Up next, we have Firegrave.
It definitely didn't happen.
I mean, it
for starters.
I mean, it got taken out back and shot. Yeah.
There was some fire theming.
Unambiguous.
There was some fire theming with the Tenna crash out, but that wasn't Firegrave. That at best that was like a reference to Firegrave. Firegrave did not happen.
Yeah. Up next is Device Theory. Okay, so this is one where I need to rely on you because I haven't watched part 3 of Device Theory. I don't know what the theory is.
I have. I feel like a lot. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because Device Theory it's barely not even a single idea. It's like an entire lens of analysis, and I feel like in general that analysis stands up. I feel like a lot of it maybe isn't true, but a lot of it still is. It's kind of hard to say. I haven't watched it recently.
Okay.
I would say it survived. I would not say that it was significantly fueled, but I also wouldn't say that it significantly died. I feel like the broad strokes of what it claimed still stand up to time.
All right,
I would
so
say.
Survived, I guess.
Yeah, I would probably put it at the end of survived. If we put anything else in survived, I would probably put it like anything else goes above that. It barely survived.
Nah.
Maybe if I rewatched it, I would have stronger opinions. But for now, that's the best I can think of.
Next is Deltarune is a prequel. Okay, so there are many things that this could mean. The most common one that I've heard is that, like, after the roaring, the world transforms into Undertale or something. Or that, like... Or there's also the meaning that just Deltarune happens before, like, Sans was in Deltarune before Undertale, which is just reiteration of the one before.
Well, no, I don't think that's the connotation of Deltarune.
Okay, so never mind. Yeah, just the first one or some variation of that.
Specifically that. Yeah, same universe. The question here isn't whether this is an accurate theory. The question here is whether 3 out of 4 significantly impacted.
Yeah, because it was bad from the start, but it 3 to 4
really,
technically didn't do anything to it.
I'm trying to think, like, did we get more explicit confirmation that magic isn't a thing in the light world?
I feel like we did, but I don't remember.
We did. We kind of did with Rouse, but like it wasn't super explicit, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where to put this.
Well, no. There's the fact that Gerson is dead.
True.
We have that. Like straight up. And like I guess that was already established in Chapter 1, but like the fact that it's an explicit plot point in 3-4, I guess, is enough to say it was taken out back and shot. Because
I mean,
that don't make sense.
I mean, I feel like we can put it in taken out back and shot because I feel like it had been shot before.
Yeah, it was already shot.
Yeah.
Well, can you really say it was taken out back and shot if it was already decomposing in the backyard? Was it really taken out?
Okay.
Yeah, it was already dead.
Let's just put it there for simplicity.
Yeah,
okay.
For simplicity.
Next is... Okay, this one is more complicated. Deltarune is an Undertale murder route sequel. I'm using... Like, there are many variations of this, and this has been around since the dawn of Deltarune.
Of course.
I'm using this video as an example. There are a few different variations on it. I'm just doing the general, like,
of course.
It takes place after the genocide ending. and Kara has some involvement.
The interesting thing about this to me is that on the surface, I'm very hesitant to accept this. Like, if we're just talking broadly about the theory, I'm hesitant to accept it because I feel like Toby was very clear that Deltarune does not follow an Undertale ending. He kind of made that clear in the FAQ. The one thing that gives me pause, and at least makes me like respect this as a possibility, is the fact that at the end of Undertale, Kara is straight up just like, yeah, let's go to the next world. And like metatextually, that's like, oh, the next game you play. But like the fact that Toby is making another game, it makes sense to me to want to connect those dots. I don't think those dots are.
I understand why people made, even if it's like.
Yeah, bad. I get it. I would say taken out back in shot because a big argument that people tried to use in the Chapter 2 era, or at least some people did, not everyone, but a few people did, was that the terrifying voice on the weird route. Some people tried to argue, oh, that's the demon. You're awakening the demon again. The Chapter 4 weird route was very clear that you are the terrifying voice. That's the player. So I feel like from that perspective,
either the knight or Carol on the phone says Chris and is talking to Chris and says, Chris, get the soul. There is no room for like interpreting it as Kara possessing Chris. Yeah. We'll get to third entity later.
Yeah, there is no. We'll get to third entity later, but also just in terms of like the weird route scary voice that Noelle hears, that's the player. That's not the demon. That's not.
So let's put it in shot. Okay, so now we're getting into actually. Oh no, we're not into night theories yet. There's one that I forgot to add. Secret bosses are discarded objects.
I would say it took a beating, but I wouldn't say it's dead.
Okay.
Like I would want your opinion, but I feel like there is an argument to be made that the hammer is discarded, even from a societal perspective. It, like from the perspective of monster culture, it should have been abandoned.
I think a lot of the secret boss patterns didn't happen as literally as people thought, but they didn't completely stop. Like I'd say that I'd say that Gerson 100% has like meaningful things like to contribute to like the Chris possession storyline, even if he's saying them to Susie. Like, but you don't have any more bosses like Spamton that are literally talking to Chris and saying, "I know you are controlled," but there are definitely things that like
Gerson plays into
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think you can take the discarded angle for the Shadow Mantle and Gerson if you want, but it didn't happen quite as like spot on
directly as we were thinking.
Okay, so
but I would say it's still a thing.
Yeah,
it took a beating. Yeah, it wasn't as we thought.
Not dead.
It's not dead. It's not dead. Not yet.
Next, we have.
Now we're getting to the
Knight candidates. First up is Chris Knight.
Well, here's the thing. This is going to be a very simple process with like 3 exceptions. For Chris Knight,
I want to put it in killed, but it was close.
I would agree because I think that Chris is absolutely working with the Knight, but Chris is not the Knight themselves. And like I would say that in a lot of ways, the spirit of Chris Knight lives on. But
Chris is still like a schemer, you could say.
Yeah, the Chris Knight people won in that respect, but like. In terms of like literally the theory itself, it died.
All of the things that people said, all the like logistics for why they couldn't have made the fountains, those were right.
Yes,
totally
especially Closet Knight.
Those. Yes, the Knight was hiding in the closet, and I think that I want to put it in killed, but it was close because it didn't happen. It was killed, but
it lives on in spirit.
Yes, it was right in some ways. I'd say, yeah. Next Knight candidate is Death Knight.
Death Knight, I would not say it's literally confirmed, but if anything is going to go in the confirmed category, it's this. I would be willing to put it in confirmed under like a more liberal interpretation of confirmed.
Okay. I was going to put it in like top of given more fuel, but I'm fine with that.
I would rather interpret the confirmed category as like
basically confirmed
with an asterisk. Okay, There's an invisible asterisk there.
Or how about we put it like here?
And I feel like Death Knight. Sure. I do think there's more leeway than people give it credit for. A lot of people are super confident in Death Knight right now. I think there's still a chance that someone else could be it.
Yeah, I agree. It's gotten as close to confirmed as you can get while still allowing for other theories to happen.
Speaking of
Nightmare.
Mayor Holiday,
The
the Roaring Knight.
This
top
this
of giving more
art
fuel.
here says Claris because it's pretty.
Clear, yeah, because we didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd put it even more
I would definitely
fuel.
put it. Top of giving more fuel. Absolutely.
If it weren't for, in my opinion, if it weren't for, just the logistics of like how Carol would have had to like be in the holiday house and then immediately off to the church. If it weren't for that, I think it would have been like higher.
No, but here's the thing. I don't remember if this is in the normal route, but in the weird route at least, when you exit the holiday house and you go back and check the door, Susie's like, "Oh no, her mom's looking at us through the window." I think that's in the normal route. It is. If it is, because that's the thing then, because the whole problem with the Carol timeline is that you would have to assume that she stopped yelling at Noelle and left, but like she clearly did stop yelling at Noelle. She did not take a while to chew Noelle out for letting Susie in. So, and there's like 2 different back doors in the holiday house that we don't get to use. There's like a back door to the left and there's one by the piano. It is not impossible that Carol like exited the holiday house after we left and then just made a run into the church.
Holiday family ninja style. The only other thing is the bat.
Yes, but it's not used as a bat. Is the thing.
I mean, it's a sword bat that turns into a sword. Like it starts looking like a bat, but then as soon as it goes into the idol sprite, it's and it does slashes. It doesn't do. Yeah, like
it looks like a bat when it's summoned, but the entire fight it's used as a blade.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like,
and also the
bat
knight is supposed to use a black knife, right?
Yeah, but Carol could just have 2 different weapons.
I mean, yeah, she has a katana. Black katana, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that's the black knife.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Because like that's the other thing. Carol has sword experience. There's a through line here. It's not a very likely through line. I think that Death Knight is significantly more likely, but there is a through line.
Yeah.
People do not grant this. There is a through line. Yeah. It is possible. So I would put it at the top of giving 100%. Let's get to the next candidate.
Yes. Okay. Next up, Alpha Knight.
Taking a back and shot. I'm sorry. He's dead.
Yeah.
I have never seen a theory get more disrespected in my life.
Okay. I mean, the thing that people say is that Alvin acts suspicious about the shelter. And sure. Undyne also acts suspicious about the shelter. I think that means that he has something going on. And obviously there's,
Oberon's he's relevant.
He's not irrelevant. He's not a meaningless character. But he is 100% not the knight.
He's not.
Yeah.
There are some people who think that Alvin made the church.
Oh yeah, I don't.
And I will grant that does explain weirdness with the church Dark World, because the church Dark World doesn't have warp doors in it, which is kind of weird, and it doesn't have a main antagonist character. But if it was made by Alvin, then where was he?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the thing.
And also, what would it add to the narrative?
It doesn't.
What would be the point?
It's possible, but I don't think it's true.
Okay, yeah.
Let's get on to the next candidate.
Papyrus Knight. Taking out back and shot?
Yeah, even more so than Alvin Knight.
Okay.
Like, Alvin, here's the thing. Alvin got relevance of his own. Papyrus is just not even mentioned or alluded to.
It's unfortunate.
Not even said. Not even like Sansa's brother was mentioned.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate. Okay, next up is Vessel Knight.
I would also say taking out back and shot.
I guess it's slightly more likely than Alvin. I guess. But I don't know.
But it has the antlers, man.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the thing, is that like all knight candidates that weren't Holiday Knight just got completely eviscerated. Like they never existed. Like they're gone. They're dead.
Yeah. I guess the only thing is that it comes from the bunker.
Yeah, but is that even like
there are better explanations for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, wait. Along the way, this is mostly just a formality. Can we put Ruby Knight and given more fuel?
Technically, on the biggest of technicalities, I guess, but I would hesitate to give it the honor of being above the survived tier because it wasn't
Oh, yes,
alive
but
to
it
begin
survived.
with. But it wasn't even alive to begin with. Like, I would be willing to put it and give it more fuel, but there's like an asterisk next to it. That like it's not real.
Okay, let's put it here.
Yeah, let's put it there.
Just
Put it
like-
there. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So next
Technically.
we have the multi-night. So first, we have the slightly more grounded version, which is Chris, Susie, Noelle night. This is specifically, I mean, there are a few versions of this, but this is a version made by Sharuba. I want to put it in Killed, but it was close. It's okay. It's basically
What specifically did this claim? Did it claim that they were the night itself, or that they would all make dark fountains?
I think, okay, I haven't watched this video in a while. I watched it when it came out, which was a few months ago. I don't remember everything. I believe it's that Chris is the knight, and Chris, like, made the first few fountains, and Susie will make the chapter 4, Noelle will make either chapter 5 or chapter 7, and her fountain will be the Angel's Heaven.
Yeah, that died.
Yeah,
I think that got taken out.
I think I'd put it there too. Like, okay, I want to put it in Killed, but it was close because Susie does make a fountain in chapter 4.
No, but that was a different theory. There was another branch of theory that was like, oh, I think that all of the main characters are going to make a fountain.
Well, this is basically that.
That lived. No, but this is specifically claiming that Chris made the first 2 Dark Worlds, and that's not true.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say it was taken out back. There is a theory that did get more fuel. I don't think we're ranking it here.
Okay.
I mean, if you really want to put it in Killed, we could put it in Killed, but I would say taken out back.
Okay, sure. Let's put it in Taking That Back. Next is 7 Days, 7 Nights. This might be what you were thinking of. This is, I remember this pretty well because it's a very iconic list of
No, this is not what I'm thinking.
First one,
Miss Boom.
Gerson. Second one, Miss Boom. Third one, Chris. Fourth one, Susie. Fifth one, Asgore. Sixth one, Burger Pants. And 7th one, Noelle.
This did not happen. It would have been really funny if it did. This got taken up back, I think. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I personally like this more than Chris Susie L Night. Just because, I don't know, I hope I don't sound mean by saying this, but Chris Susie L, it just never appealed to me.
Yeah.
It always felt
I never really saw it.
Like, it just didn't feel like Deltarune to me.
I kind of agree. I mean, I never really got the vision for that. Oh, and there's one more night theory to talk about. I think.
Oh, there is?
It's listed on our list. It's Oberon Smog.
Oh my god, I forgot about Oberon Smog! How could I forget about Oberon Smog?
Oberon Smog? Killed, but it was close.
Yeah. This is like the definition of killed, but it was close. He's not the knight, but he's there.
He's not the knight,
basically Oberon
he's
Smog.
there. There are people who won't grant this to Jaru. No, Jaru deserves that win.
Yeah, he predicted Dustners. Or he was the first to predict Dustners, I think.
He was one of the, maybe not the first, but he was definitely like one of the first at minimum to predict Dustners as a concept.
Yeah, and we got them. Right. That's amazing. That's a win for Jaru.
We did.
Now we're getting to the theories that I don't have on the sidebar here, and I'm just gonna like write down in text. What is next? Do you have the thing open?
I have the yes. Okay. I think we're doing friend next.
Friend theories. Oh my god. Oh.
There's 4 that we listed here.
Yeah.
There are so many that we can't list. Mm-hmm. But
friend is like really.
I don't even know what happened with friend, honestly. So first off, we have Mike Friend.
Okay.
I mean, like, technically, I guess. Like,
where do we even put that? Do we put it in
confirmed?
Survive?
It technically happened. Happened.
Wait, how are we judging like what counts as it being confirmed?
There is a character named Mike with friend eyes.
Yeah. And there's also I bet when you. Oh no.
I don't know. Can we make a new category? Can we make a new category for technically correct?
Why not? I'll put
Why not?
I'll put this here. Okay, what?
On the side, there's like a vertical column.
Yes. Okay, there we go. In technically correct tier.
Mike Friend. Because technically,
a Mike is a friend.
Friend. I feel like all of these theories are going to go technically correct for being honest.
Okay, what is next?
Oh, we're going to love this. Friend Cat. I would actually say that
also
friend cat is
technically correct,
confirmed.
but also confirmed. I feel like it's confirmed in the sweepstakes too, to be honest.
It was confirmed in sweepstakes too, and it was double confirmed in game when we had the friend cat enemies in Mantle and in the Ralsei explanation. I think friend cat is just real.
Okay, so just regular confirmed.
Regular confirmed, I would say.
Amazing. What's next?
And then up next is Mike friend cat. Now we're combining theories.
Oh,
so now we have cat Mike because it's technically separate than Mike friend. This obviously goes in technically correct as well.
Okay.
Like that happened technically.
Yeah.
And then finally we have the pinnacle of friend theories, the Mike friend RNG cat. So it's Mike friend cat, but also they're a lucky cat. I don't know if this happened really. I don't think that friend luck connections were real.
The only thing that comes to mind is the minigame before and Noelle's blog posts, but I feel like it's not really explored in Deltarune.
Yeah, I would say this is actually taking out back in shot. I would not even say this is technically correct. No, because was any of the mics connected to luck? I don't think so.
I put it in took a beating because
sure
it's not. I wouldn't say it was killed, just that it was like
under new management.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Are we out of the friend zone?
Okay. There's one more that I think is worth mentioning that we didn't list, and it's friend letter. I think friend letter was killed.
Yeah,
taking it back. Eggman author was basically just confirmed.
This is that friend
but you
wrote the Valentine's letter, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, killed.
I can also think in confirmed we should put Eggman letter.
Oh, okay, yeah. We didn't even list that. Yeah.
We didn't even list that because we weren't even thinking about that. There's like a whole set of letter theories that we could talk about. I don't think there's much point in listing.
And they're also just there's less to say about them. They're less well known. A ton of the majority of the fandom doesn't know what the letter is.
Yeah.
Thank God. Okay, so now are we on to niche theories?
Yes.
Okay.
We're on to niche theories.
Okay, niche theories. So first niche theory is Gaster fanboy theory. Do you want to explain this?
I would put this in Giving More Fuel.
Okay.
Basically, the idea, this is kind of synonymous with the Gaster interloper school of thought, which is the idea that Gaster's role in Deltarune is that he is an outsider who is messing with a story that he doesn't belong in. He is reinterpreting, changing the prophecy to get a better ending. He's trying to create a new future. Mm-hmm. He's altering the story. Mm-hmm. He's writing fan fiction of Deltarune,
doing a
basically.
New version of that goes against the prophecy. He is breaking fate.
Yes, or reinterpreting.
Yeah.
More likely. And then the opposite to the fanboy interpretation is the developer.
Okay, do we call this Devster? Is that the name?
Yeah, we just call it Devster. That's what people call it. I would also say that goes in Giving More Fuel. It's kind of weird because
this is the idea that Gaster made the prophecy himself.
Yeah, he's the storyteller. He's the one who's making the game.
He isn't interloping, and does this also tie into the idea that either the Knight or the Second Voice or Susie or someone else is messing with the story by changing the prophecy?
But I think most people who would argue that for Devster would argue that Gaster is involved with the Knight.
Okay. So this is the idea he's planning everything.
Yeah, that's what Devster is.
Okay.
And I would say that both Interloper Gaster and Devster kind of got significant fuel to their fires. But I think both are very likely now. The biggest crux of everything is what does my Deltarune mean? You can interpret that in two drastically different ways. Yeah, you can interpret it as oh, this is my Deltarune, I made it, which would be Devster. Or you can interpret it as, this is my Deltarune now, I'm taking it from you, it's mine now, I'm claiming ownership.
There was another Deltarune, but this one is mine.
Yes, exactly. So you can interpret that line two very different ways. And that is why both of them still survive. This is a very nuanced conversation, but I feel confident just putting them both in there. Personally, what do you think?
I agree. I'm cool with that. Okay, so what's next? Third entity.
Taking a back and shot.
Yeah.
no contest. Third entity just kind of died. Straight up. It's dead.
Yeah.
It did not survive the jump.
I didn't think there'd be this many in Taken Out Back and Shot before.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah, I need to expand a tier.
You'll fix it in the edit. You have just an explosion graphic show up and suddenly the tier.
Yeah.
Next up is Dustners. as like a concept.
Well, this is more like a concept than a specific theory.
Well,
I'll
yeah,
put this in
but-
confirmed.
Yeah, definitely confirmed. It
Does
was
exist?
definitely
We
debatable.
need
It
one.
was debatable whether
Yeah.
it would actually be a thing. It definitely was confirmed that it's a thing that exists and it's a thing that happened. Not much
Yes.
more to say. We saw one.
Yeah.
For the uninitiated, Dustner is the community term for a darkener born from a monster's dust.
Yeah. So it's
Speaking
just
of,
Gerson.
yeah. So speaking of that, the piles of Azrael's dust theory.
Piles of Azrael's dust.
That Ralsei is a darkener born from Azrael's dust. I feel like this was kind of killed. Not taken out back.
We put it in killed, but it was close because it wasn't close. But at the same
Wasn't
time, it wasn't
close.
completely killed.
It wasn't
we just put
completely
it in take a beating.
I guess take a beating. Like we didn't
Okay,
get
yeah.
explicit evidence that Azrael is still alive, and the thing that I think hampered it significantly is the fact that
Just everything about how Ralsei acts.
yeah, but also more importantly, the stuff with Gerson, where it's like, oh, he only can exist in very specific darkness.
Yeah,
Because he's the pattern of a loved one. If Ralsei was Azrael, that should apply to Ralsei as well. And I don't know how that would work.
I do think I think you could make it work if Des loved Azrael.
That's also true. That is also very
or
true.
it-
And obviously Chris would.
yeah. And
No,
you
but-
could say that Susie loved. Well, Susie didn't know Azrael.
Susie
So,
didn't know Azrael,
I
but
don't know why
she knows
chose him.
Ralsei much better than she knew
Yeah.
Gerson. I would say it took a beating.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
definitely not a true theory, but in terms of how much 3 and 4 impacted it, surprisingly was not scathed.
I mean, yeah, I'd argue that it was never very good to begin with, but in terms of how it was affected by 3 to 4, it wasn't affected as much as a lot of
other
others
theories
were.
here. I would
Yeah.
agree.
Mhm.
Next up, we have the Ralsei is a vessel theory. I guess this is more like Ralsei is a goner, I'm assuming.
Okay.
I've never heard of
Yeah,
this.
that's what I meant. Okay, so there are 2 videos on it, and it had been theorized about before. So it's just the idea that Ralsei is neither a lightener or darkener, or he's a special type of darkener, and he's a goner like the vessel, and that he was created by Gaster.
It's
I think in spirit,
possible.
it's still right, but he is a darkener. He says that he's a darkener.
That much we got explicitly confirmed. He is a darkener.
Yeah.
So we would have to say
I think-
that goners are darkeners. And I'm not
Yeah, we could
sure
s-
if I would agree with that, but it
Yeah.
took a beating. But I wouldn't say it was
Yeah,
killed,
it
because
took a
we don't
beating.
know.
Yeah, one of the things about it that people say is like, oh, it says Dark World's being, so he's technically not a darkener, but he is a darkener.
Yeah, he's as of
If it
3
were to
and 4.
happen
That's,
now, it would just be that he's a special darkener, or there's something else going on, and he's not just a darkener like the rest. I mean,
which is possible.
Yeah, he already probably isn't a darkener like the rest because, he doesn't turn to stone and all that, and he has no object seemingly. But I don't think that necessarily means that he's a goner. Anyways, what's next?
What's next? I think the Ralsei Titan theory.
Ralsei Titan. Oh, Ralsei is a Titan. I don't know this one. What is this?
There's not really a good argument for it that I know of. A few people thought of this in the 2 era. I don't think this holds up to time because we now know that Titans don't have a consciousness.
Oh yeah,
So-
they only exist to destroy. So
Yeah,
take
so
that back.
Ralsei is probably not that. Because last I checked,
Yeah.
Ralsei has feelings.
Yeah, Ralsei is like a normal person.
Yeah, so Ralsei definitely it definitely goes and taken out back and shot, I would say. Next up, we have Ralsei has no light world counterpart. I would say this survived. I don't think that we got significant more evidence for this one. This refers to the idea that
Yeah.
Ralsei is not a darkener born from an object, he just kind of exists in the dark
Yeah.
world. And this explains why he's able to go anywhere. This explains why he doesn't turn to stone, and it explains why he kind of just ends up back in Castletown at the start of chapter 2. We visit Castletown, and he's already there, and he was there overnight. But we didn't move anything. And it doesn't seem likely that he could have backtracked to the Great Door in like the 2 seconds that we were sealing the fountain.
Mhm. This can connect to what do we put? Ralsei as a goner. This can
It
connect to
could.
that, and it can be that like goners only exist in the dark world, and it's a special thing, something like that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Something like that. I would say that this was not affected by 3 to 4. I don't think that we got evidence
Yeah,
one way or the other.
Yeah. I mean, okay, wait. I mean, it almost feels like he gets close to revealing something about if he had an object, what it would be.
No, he says, even I, the one telling you this, and I feel like the answer to that question...
The implication is that he's going to say, am not real, or something like that.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
I don't think that he was about to say, I am Chris's old horned head bear. Like, what? Like,
yes.
That would make sense to Susie. Next up, we have Susie is from human society. This refers to the idea that Susie grew up around humans before moving to hometown. I
think this was strengthened a little.
How is it strengthened?
Because she moved around a lot. Just the way that she describes people in her old...
well, yeah, but I
like
would
neighborhoods,
actually...
it sounds like... they sound like humans, although I'm not basing that off of anything tangible.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I feel like this definitely took a beating, if you're asking me, because, like, I still believe in this idea, but I feel like, the knowledge that she moved around a lot kind of hurts the idea that she was from somewhere specific. It kind of seems like Toby is going out of his way to, like... She didn't come from one place. She moved around a lot as a kid, which seems weird, but...
I think it could have been that the places she moved around in were human societies.
Maybe. I guess that could work if we were like, oh, she didn't belong there. She kept moving around because she didn't belong in any of those places.
I don't think that's necessarily because she didn't belong, but I think it's...
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that could be a potential explanation. It could be that she's a monster that either grew up with a family of humans or is like the only monster family in like a human area, and they're like having problems everywhere because like humans don't understand them or something like that, and that's part of the explanation.
Yeah.
I could see it being that.
It's definitely weird, and I feel like there's not a lot of new evidence for this, but I still feel like the evidence in 1 and 2 was still really strong for this. So I would say that this survived.
I want to put it in survive.
Next up are two that both go in the same category, that I would not have thought go in the same category at all. And it's monsters bleed and monsters turn to dust. Both of them are true. Somehow.
Okay, I mean, monsters bleed, basically confirmed. There is technically room for Susie to be a half human.
But no. I don't think Susie is weird. I think that's just how monsters work. They're both confirmed. I don't get how that makes sense, but it does. Next up is Des is the code entity, the unused strings.
Okay, remind me what the new unused strings we got were. It was something about like she could hear. Okay, wait, because I looked at them.
I haven't read them.
I don't remember them perfectly.
They weren't particularly like interesting. I mean, 3's wasn't. 4 was kind of.
4 wasn't it something like there was something comforting to her?
Yeah, no, she was comforted by the scratching because she
was comforted by the scratching. Yeah, and she tried to follow, or she'd been in the depths or wherever like for ages, or she's had something like that.
I would say this survived. I wouldn't say this took a beating. I would say that it could still be true. I don't think it was particularly strengthened.
Okay, sure.
It's my initial impression.
Okay. Oh my god. My favorite. Naked Rousey theory. Or let's do both of them.
Yeah, both of them. The counter theorem, I don't think it matters, if I'm being honest.
I mean, yeah, because he's a dark nerd.
He is a dark nerd. So I guess confirmed in the sense that what the counter theorem claimed was true. Oh, we have to explain what this is to the audience because they don't know.
Oh.
You want me to explain it?
You do it. Okay, I'll do the second one.
So the argument goes that because when Chris and Susie and Noelle are downed in battle, they're like knocked out on the floor. But when Rousey is knocked out in battle, he's like a pile of his clothes, right? And that's presumably because he's a darkener. So if you wanted to claim that Rousey is secretly a lightener, what you would have to argue, in order for that to work, is that you would have to argue that when Rousey is knocked out, he's teleporting away, naked, so that his clothes fall on the ground to pretend to be a darkener, and then when you revive him, he teleports back. And that's absurd and stupid, so Rousey is not a lightener, and he's a darkener. Mm-hmm. That's the counter theorem.
I'll put that in technically correct because I feel like we already knew it before, but it was technically confirmed.
It was technically confirmed, yeah. That is not what is happening because that's stupid. That's like the most weak like theory confirmation ever. Like like this stupid thing doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Confirm.
Okay, so next is other Naked Rouse theory.
The more popular one.
Yeah, so this is the theory that Rouse will take off a different piece of clothing every chapter, and it'll represent him
opening up,
and becoming more genuine with the Lancer fan club. I want to put it in Given More Fuel, although he doesn't take anything off in chapter 4.
I know, that kind of kills it. But I would say it was close. I would put it in killed, but it was close. Because we got it in chapter 3.
Yeah, he takes off his shirt, which I didn't expect.
It didn't happen at all in 4. So I would say it was killed, but it was close. It was kind of true.
And also, like, he opens up significantly in chapter 4.
What's next?
Next, we have player banish theory. Okay, so this is what I'm immediately think of is the game theory, which is that at the end, the game theory is also something else, but this is just the idea that at the end, we, the player, the red soul, whatever you want to call it, are going to be banished, and that'll be like the final fountain that is sealed. That's like that's the ending of the game. It's our connection to the world of Deltarune is cut off, and that is the end. It can also intersect with that being banishing the Angel's Heaven.
Yeah.
But player Angel.
Where would you put this? Later. Where would you put this?
I'd put it in survived, because I don't think much affected it.
I would argue that there is some grounds to give in more fuel. There are two things. One, if you assume player Angel, which I don't think we should personally, but if we say that we assume player Angel, then there is the prophecy in the Church Dark World that's like, the angel banished shall meet with its desire, which isn't that much of an information, but it does confirm that the angel itself is banished. In the chapter 1 and 2 days, we kind of just assumed that the angel's heaven being banished meant the angel being banished. Now it's confirmed that the angel itself is being banished.
Yes, that and also that points to the angel being an entity, like a thing, and the angel's heaven not just being a proper noun.
Yes, kind of.
Although we've already had some stuff that whatever.
I would argue that prophecy is against player Angel on the whole, so it's kind of effy. But I would say that is more evidence overall than it isn't. And then the other thing is that this is kind of a very niche choice. But when you're in the dark world, not the dark world, the light world, after sealing the first sanctuary, and you're trying to find the code to the door, there's the piano you can interact with, and Susie gives her story about the piano, and Susie asks if Chris will play again, and the options are like, I'll never play again, and then I'll play if you play, and then there's one that's like, I'll play someday, I'll play again someday, and if you pick that option, Chris is confident, and they're not confident with the other choices. And the implication seems to be that that's the good option, because that is reaffirming that the player won't be here forever. Eventually, Chris will be themselves again. And eventually, they'll be able to play the piano again. Which kind of does suggest that by the end of the story, we're being taken out. I guess. Okay. So I would say I was given more fuel. Not a lot more fuel, but I would say I was given some more fuel.
So, yeah, I'm cool with putting it here. Next is... Okay, so this is one that I don't know anything about. Oblivion Theory.
I don't know much about Oblivion Theory. From what I do know, I don't think it happened.
Oh, okay. This is the one where it was Kara. Is it Kara is the knight, or am I stupid?
No, I think... I'm going to be wrong about this. People in the comments are going to yell at me. But I think Oblivion Theory is a Vessel Knight, where the Vessel is the demon who wants to maximize your enjoyment of the game by making the Dark Worlds, and that did not happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
I'm gonna say killed, but it was close, because I don't know enough about Oblivion Theory to say it was completely wrong. So I'm gonna give a benefit of the doubt and assume that some part of it was probably accurate.
Yeah, surely if it's like 300 pages long, surely some
sentence in there was correct.
Okay, next is. Gas pipe theory.
Take it up back.
Take it up back and shot. Yes.
No questions asked.
Up next is Chris was possessed before. This is just that Chris was possessed by something either another player or the representation of us or some other thing before they were possessed by us?
I would say survived. I don't think we got
Okay.
evidence against this, but I don't think we got evidence for this either.
I don't know. The Noelle dialogue about how Chris would pretend to rip their heart out makes me think that that the ripping their heart out is that they did, and it was related to something else, and it's not only about possession.
There's also, my mind goes to the what was it? It was some Susie dialogue. Oh, with the bird cage in Chris's room. Susie's like, "Oh, I didn't know that you had a bird or something," and then Susie's like, "Oh,
Chris
I really like how you nodded."
Something.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know what to make of that, but that kind of would suggest that the bird cage is not for a bird that Chris had, ? But it's also possible that they've reused the bird cage that they already had, and Chris is just like, "Oh yeah, I have something else right now."
Yeah.
You know? Like, we don't really know. I would say it survived. I would not say it gained evidence. I would not say it lost evidence. It's there.
Next is the secret bosses are failed Rousseys. As I understand it, it's the idea that Gaster intentionally gave shadow crystals or told whatever information he told to the secret bosses and was trying to get them to become like Rousey, to get the forbidden knowledge that he knows that they could guide the heroes on the quest and they could be the prince of the dark, I guess.
The variation that I think is more likely is that he's not trying to make them the Prince of the Dark per se, but he's trying to gauge how they react to the truth and trying to use that so that when he eventually does tell Rousey everything that he needs to know, Rousey doesn't go crazy. Because Rousey says himself, "Oh, it hurts to have this knowledge. I didn't ask to know this, but I do. This knowledge hurts me." And that kind of feels like
obviously,
this. Yeah. And with Gerson, the whole thing is that Gerson didn't get instructions. He was just given the crystal.
And which, he didn't care, really.
Feels like a control variable, you know? Like, how does someone react if I give them the means to get the truth, but don't influence them at all? And I just let them figure it out.
So I guess that also connects to the theory that the secret bosses are experiments.
Yes, exactly. That's what this is.
I think that is definitely given more fuel. I'll put this in given more fuel. Next is Dark World History. And this is like Big Book or Last Thursdays and things like that.
Who knows, man?
I want to put it in Took a Reading.
I would not object to that as much as I love my retroactive history. All right, so next up we have the Angels. There are 3 big Angel candidates. I guess 4 if you count Triple Angel. We'll get to that. There's Player Angel, there's Noelle Angel, and there's Eldritch Angel. And then there's Triple Angel, which is saying that all 3 of those are true. What are your thoughts? Because
I think Player Angel was given more fuel.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, I don't think there's any other way to interpret the Angel Doll falling on the player as Player Angel fuel. But I think the others were also kind of strengthened.
Was Noelle Angel strengthened? There was the
maybe not. I feel like Noelle Angel survived.
It survived. I don't think it got significant more evidence. Though, to be fair, Noelle wasn't in these chapters as much as in chapter 2. So it's definitely understandable, but I would say that there wasn't a lot added to the fire.
I also want to put Eldritch Angel and give him more fuel. Mostly because of some of the things about the Angel's real form. Because, I didn't get to that. There's a room where Rousey shows Susie the Angel's form. I've seen a video of that, but I haven't gotten there myself.
What the deal with that is that the prophecy is obscured to the player by some pillars in front of the camera. So we can't see the actual image. We can see the text. Yeah. And Susie is freaked out by the depiction. She's like, "Rousey, what the hell is that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's the angel, Susie. At least what I think it looks like, to my understanding." And then Susie is like, "I'm not so sure, man."
Yeah.
Susie is freaked out. Her talk breaks. She is not confused. She is concerned.
Yeah.
And I don't think that makes sense for Noelle Angel. And people have tried
that's what Susie really thinks of Noelle.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be Noelle's final form or something like that.
Who knows?
God of Hyper Snowgrave.
The weird thing for Player Angel is that it's definitely not a heart. It's not a soul. Because if it was, then Susie should have a different reaction
Like
when she
that's
sees
it?
Chris's soul at the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
She sees
True,
it at
true,
the
true.
end, and she doesn't think much of it. Like, she comments on it. She saw it, but she didn't like get concerned over it. So if it's player Angel, then the only explanation is to say, oh, the room is dark
That's
so that you,
our
the
face.
player, see your reflection in your monitor.
Yes.
Ooh. And like, I get that, but I will note that chapter 3 has a lot of photorealistic assets in it. It has
That
like
is
a
true.
photorealistic
That is
tree.
true.
It has the gumball machine.
It also
And
has
no
like
one-
a photorealistic picture of the Dreamer, like, or a snippet of the
Exactly.
Dreamer household that has Tenna on it.
And the
So,
Rousey plush.
like, yeah.
And the characters don't see that as weird.
Yeah,
No
they
one
don't freak
comments
out. They
on
don't get like they aren't like Tenna. What the hell is up with you?
Like, I get that in Undertale, a big point was made with Omega Flowey being like that. Like, everyone else in this game is pixelated, but Omega Flowey is like Photoshop. But
yeah, and that's
with
like
Deltarune, that's
him
not
being like ascended.
Yeah, but in Deltarune, that's not really the case, and I don't think that it makes sense for the game to be all hand wavy when it is and isn't important. So I'm gonna say that if it is the player's face, then it doesn't make sense for Susie to be that concerned, because to her that would just look like a person.
A human. I don't know. Maybe Toby Fox assumes that we're all really ugly.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like that reaction, if it was just a person, I feel like Susie would laugh at it more than be unnerved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that that's
and
why
if it's
I don't.
Eldritch Angel, then it can be like the Lovecraftian horror or whatever.
Yeah,
it can
and
be
then
any
that
kind
makes
of thing.
sense, and that like works. So I would say that Eldritch Angel gains standing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a popular
That being
opinion.
said, both of these got. I'd say both of these got more fuel at once.
Absolutely, like they both got a lot of new evidence, and it's weird because the Noel Angel stuff still exists, and that kind of just leaves Triple Angel, which is the idea that all three of these are somehow the Angel. I would say that survived, and I think that's everything.
That's it. So Brix, do you have any closing thoughts on this? Like just looking at the finished thing?
I don't think so, but if I had to give thoughts on the theory scene as a whole with 3 and 4, I definitely feel like Deltarune is way less predictable than any of us thought it was. That's the big thing. So many ideas were predicated on the idea that Deltarune would keep being as it was in 1 and 2. That didn't happen, like, at all, you know? So it's kind of interesting to see how the theory scene is going to adapt to that. We're still in the early days, so we haven't really seen the full extent of this. But I'm expecting theories to kind of get more wacky, which is not what I was thinking in the 1 and 2 days. But I'm expecting theories to get even crazier now, with the knowledge that Deltarune could do anything, man. Like, who knows?
Yes.
Oh yeah, wait, there's one more theory we can add to confirmed. Flower King Dark World. It's just actually happening.
Okay, yeah. There's a lot of evidence for this.
I guess we can add that, if you want. But I think I'm happy with this as it stands. I think this is a good list. Do you have any thoughts on the theory scene?
Yes, Brix, I do. So, I've heard some, like, doomer talk recently. People are saying that so many theories were wrong, that there's no point in theorizing anymore. But even just giving the list a cursory eyeballing, it's clear to me that all of our theories were not wrong. A little over half of them were wrong. One thing that I noticed is that YouTube theories and night theories were weighed more heavily towards the bottom. I think that's partially because in YouTube videos, you're expected to be specific, while the vague concept theories that we see at the top are more nebulous and can take many forms. And for night theories, well, that's just the nature of night theories. The night as a mystery can only have one answer, so naturally most of the theoretical answers will be wrong. And even then, some of the dead night theories still got big things right. Multi-night didn't happen, but Susie did make a dark fountain in Chapter 4. Oberon Smog isn't the night, but he was still basically in the game, which is a win for that theory in my opinion. Chris may not have been the night, but they're working closely with the night. Des came the closest, but as far as I know, nobody exactly predicted what would happen with her. And that's fine. The point of making theories is to dig deeper into the game we love and explore new possibilities, not to get everything right the first time. If we could get everything right the first time, the game would probably suck. Sometimes people act like making a theory is this hyper-rational, evidence-based science, and that it's wholly disconnected from creative endeavors like writing fanfic. Theorists will proudly proclaim that their theories should be taken seriously, and to compare them to fanfic is somehow disrespectful. I don't like this way of thinking. I'm just gonna say that. In my opinion, theorizing and fanfic writing are inherently connected. It's hard to do one without doing a little bit of the other. When you're making a theory, unless you're playing it really safe, there will be holes and inconsistencies that you can't account for with raw evidence, and you'll have to fill them in with your creativity. Theorizing is just another way to creatively build off of a story, and just like with writing fanfic, naturally you'll have different ideas than the author. You'll have misconceptions, you'll want to take things in a different direction, and you'll be wrong. A lot. But being wrong is not the sign of a bad theorist. Being wrong is part of the process for being a good theorist. If your favorite theory was wrong, then that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're stupid, or you're not Tobycore, or whatever people say. But hey, I bet your favorite theory could become a great fanfic, or a great original work. So, yeah, that's almost everything I have to say on the subject. If I had to summarize everything I just said in 3 words, listen to Gerson. Gerson has all the answers. Okay, I think that's it. Bye-bye.